Hello and welcome to the Sports Report. I'm Mitch Wertlieb, your host for this program that's all about the world of sports in Vermont and beyond. Today on the show, the Middlebury women's lacrosse team is eyeing a fifth consecutive Division III title. We'll hear from head coach Kate Livesey and attacker Skylar Locke in a moment, and later NBC5 sports anchor Jack Main stops by to talk about the big shakeup in Red Sox Nation and latest from round one of the NHL and NBA playoffs. I'm on set with producer Nathaniel Wilson, who is back after taking some time off, which included, Nathaniel, a couple of visits to baseball's most iconic ballparks. Yeah. Great to have you back. We missed you, but where did you go? Tell me about these parks.
So I was in New York for a couple days. I caught a game at Yankee Stadium, and then I was in Chicago for a couple days, and I caught a game at Wrigley. And thankfully, I got to see 2 home wins, which was pretty fun.
So the thing about Yankee Stadium, I have to ask, I've been there myself too, for the first couple of innings, you have to deal with the stench of pure evil that permeates the place, of course, but then you get used to it, right?
Yeah, that is how it goes,
It's pretty much not so bad.
I thought it was pretty shockingly empty at the beginning, but I got to see, you and I were joking a little bit about this before the show, the roll call that happens before the game, which is when I think they are the bleacher creatures, right? They call every player on the field by name, right? Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge, Aaron Judge, until they are acknowledged by the player.
Yeah.
It was actually, I got to tell you, probably the thing I was looking forward most to seeing while I was there, because I had seen it on TikTok, and I just think it's so hilarious. Like, acknowledge me, acknowledge me.
Until they finally do it.
Yeah.
And as much grief as I give Yankees fans, I do have to say that's a pretty cool tradition. When you see it live for the first time, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, and I got to catch what I think up to this point, we're still pretty early in the Major League Baseball season, but I think it was the game of the year so far, which was between the Yankees and the Angels. The Yankees won 11-10. I think they went up by 4. The Angels tied it up. The Yanks went up again. The Angels took the lead, and the Yankees scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win the game.
Home runs all over the place in that
Judge
one, right?
had 2, Trout had 2. There were like 4 other Yankee home runs. It was insane.
Oh, fireworks. It would be so nice to know what a home run looks like for my team that I actually like. So tell me about Wrigley Field, which I think is a gorgeous ballpark. It's intimate. It's a little bit like the National League version of Fenway.
Yeah, definitely one of the coolest pro sports environments that I've ever been in. I was there with a longtime friend, and I was telling him while we were at the game, it's like the Cubs get small market love inside of a big market. Like Wrigley was packed out before the game. There's people hanging out outside of the stadium that aren't even there because the whole neighborhood just is a vibe during the games. It was so much fun.
It's so cool. And the park itself, the gorgeous ivy, the brick, it's just such a beautiful ballpark. Did the Cubs win?
They did.
Okay.
This was like the 10th or 11th or 12th loss in the row for the Mets, I think I got to see.
You saw the Mets play?
I did, yes. Play is a strong word.
Highest payroll in baseball. I almost feel sorry for Mets fans. Well, anyway, it is great to have you back.
Yes.
Do want to acknowledge while you were away, our intern Busy Anderson filled in for you on the High Five and helped produce segments. She did a wonderful job, and we are going to miss Busy. There she is in the control room. Let's embarrass her a little bit. Busy, thank you for all your hard work. She's going to be leaving Vermont Public this week, but she's been fantastic.
Yeah, this is Busy's last week as our newsroom intern, and it took us a while to get her involved on the show, but she has just been excellent. It's been so nice to have her around. We're going to miss her.
So glad that we did. If you're with us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, are the Boston Bruins just toast waiting to be buttered out of the playoffs by the Buffalo Sabres tomorrow night? I expect they are. If you're listening via radio or podcast, we encourage you come hang out each Monday at 2 p.m. on the Sports Report YouTube channel, because if you want to hear more about what's happening in Vermont sports, you're in the right place. And it's time for the High Five, the segment where we count down 5 of the biggest stories from the last week in Vermont sports. I missed that. At number 5, the Vermont Coyotes were recently named as the American Basketball Association's Expansion Team of the Year. The Coyotes went 12-12 in their first season, even clinching a playoff berth before being eliminated by the Saratoga Racers.
At number 4, the St. Michael's College men's lacrosse team announced a whole host of awards this morning. Freshman attacker Chris Davis was named NE10 Co-Rookie of the Year and also earned a spot on the all-rookie team with midfielder Zeke Peraza. Sophomore goalkeeper Nate Gulenchensky and midfielder Matt O'Donnell were named to the all-conference third team, and head coach Alex Smith was named NE10 Coach of the Year.
At number 3, some good news for the UVM men's basketball team as Noah Barnett has decided to return to the Catamounts next season after initially entering the college basketball transfer portal. The 6'9" forward was a starter for the last 10 games of the past regular season. His return provides continuity and stability for Coach John Becker's front court, which will also benefit from the return of Gus Yalden, who's entering his junior year next season for UVM.
At number 2, the Middlebury women's lacrosse team stays hot. The undefeated Panthers beat Bates College 18-6 in the quarterfinals of the NESCAC tournament on Saturday. The Panthers put up 39 shots in the blowout, and sophomore Siobhan Colin registered a career-high 4 points in the win.
And at number 1, Colchester's Brinley Gilfillan broke her own records in the 100 and 200-meter races at the Essex Vacational April 22nd. Gilfillan is Vermont's first high school girl to finish the 100 in under 12 seconds, busting out an 11.91-second dash. She then crossed the 200-meter finish in 24.62 seconds to beat her own previous 3-year-old record time. Stick around. We'll be right back with Middlebury women's head coach for lacrosse, Kate Livesey, and attacker Skylar Locke. Welcome back to the Sports Report. I'm Mitch Wertlieb and delighted to be speaking now with Kate Livesey and Skylar Locke of the Middlebury Panthers women's lacrosse team. Thank you both so much for being with us on the Sports Report today.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
And listen, congratulations on another undefeated season, 15-0 in the regular season, and you've won your first playoff game. Coach, let me ask you first, I want to make sure the team is healthy right now because that's the biggest thing going into the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in good shape. Knock on wood. We are happy about where we are in terms of health and in terms of just our mental game. Everything feels like we're firing and playing some of our best lacrosse of the season right now. So it feels good to have warmer days, and that helps our mental health and our physical health. So far, so good.
Isn't that true for all of us? Yes, it's nice to finally get a little touch of spring here in Vermont. I have to ask, when we talk about the Middlebury Panthers women's lacrosse team, and you can take this analogy any way you like. You kind of are the New York Yankees of women's lacrosse. You just win and win and win. It's astonishing. You're now 4 Division III titles in a row, going for your 5th this year. What are the challenges of coaching a team where you have a target on your back? Everybody wants to take down the big dog.
Yeah, that's so true. But actually, I think that is one of our greatest strengths in terms of preparation is knowing that folks are really going to show up with their best game. So it's a amazing focuser in terms of just never taking any game lightly and really focusing on the present because the only game that matters is the next game. So it has honestly really just helped us stay sharp and focused and get the most out of practice every day. I think, our players really understand that we, are that target and they take it seriously. It's not something they run away from. They really embrace that notion that this is going to make us better and we learn a lot from every game. So, yeah, we try to take it as a real privilege.
And, it doesn't hurt to have players who have been in the big moment on your team, like Skylar Locke. And Skylar, I have to ask, the biggest moment for you has to be that overtime game-winning goal. I guess it was in the quarterfinals against Colby that you scored to make it 13-12 to beat that team?
Yeah, that was in the semifinals last year.
In the semifinals last year. I mean, what a moment for you. How do you carry that experience? Do you talk to your other fellow attackers about what it means to be in that moment? For some of the players that may be newer, I mean, are you feeling like you're taking on more of a veteran role at this point?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good question. I mean, it's definitely relevant for our team this year. There's only 6 of us seniors, so it's been really nice to see one, like the leadership of our class, we're very on the same page of really bringing the younger girls up and kind of recognizing that we did lose 12 girls last year, a lot of whom started for all 4 years, and just recognizing that each game we play this year is more experience, and like some of those girls are just building more and more confidence, and also just kind of, I feel like we emphasize trust a lot, knowing that it can be everyone on the field, all 7 attackers or any of the defenders to step up in any moment. And just knowing that I would trust anyone with the ball. And I mean, we saw with the Wesleyan game, Caroline Adams scored with a second left on the clock, and that was as clutch as it can get. So definitely a very exciting moment and very clutch. And,
Unbelievable moment.
Yeah, it was really
Wesleyan game is incredible. You know, that team, I have to say, and I want to ask you this question, Coach Livesey, because, you know, when Middlebury went on that famous 67-game winning streak, didn't lose a game over the course of, I guess, 2 or 3 years, it seems. Wesleyan was the team that finally broke that streak. However, your all-time record against them is something like 27-1. But are they a team that you really keep a particular eye on, that's like, okay, you know, these guys, they are coming for us. They beat us once, and we may have to deal with them again?
Definitely. They are a great team. I actually think they mimic a lot of the strengths of our team. You know, they have a great defense, a great goalie, and, you know, a really balanced attack. And they just like are so collaborative on their attacking end. And they're, you know, I really respect their coach a lot. And I think they're, you know, really organized and they really execute well. And they've got a great team culture. So it does almost feel like we're playing ourselves sometimes when we're playing Wesleyan. We know it's going to be a battle, but it's a really fun matchup because we just know they're so high level and it really brings out the best in us.
Yeah, and you got to be challenged too. It wouldn't be any fun if it was just a cakewalk every time and it was nice and easy. Skylar Locke, I have to ask, you mentioned before talking about the strengths of the team overall. Obviously, you're a great attacking team. You score a lot of goals during the games. But you mentioned the defense as well. You have an excellent goaltender in Elizabeth Savage. The defense is consistently one of the best in the league each year. You keep teams to, I guess, below their averages in scoring. And I hate to ask this question in front of your coach, but knowing that your defense is that strong, do you ever feel like, you know what, as an attacker, I can take a little bit more of a chance, a little bit more of a risk and try some certain things knowing that you've got such great backup behind you?
Yeah, KP maybe close your ears, but no, I mean, just as an attack and our whole team, we talk about like how lucky are we to play against the best defense in the country, and they're just so fun to watch. Not as much fun to play against, but they just are so solid and so fast, and it's so fun to just have the support of Savage and a couple seniors on the defense, and just everyone. Like, it's such a well-oiled machine. It's so fun to watch, and I know they make us better every day. So I'm just so grateful that they're on my team.
What is your approach as an attacker? How do you like to I guess, sort of cater your game to each opponent? Do you go in with a certain mindset, or do you play to that opponent that you're taking on that day?
Yeah, I think as a team and myself, I like to focus on like what we can control. So I think, in the NESCAC alone, there's so many different defenses, zone, man, like different pressures. So what we can control is how we're going to show up. And I think just focusing on how I can sort of help the team, that's like with my IQ and making sure I can help other people know where they need to go or set them up. That's kind of, I guess, how I approach just knowing that I have the support of my team and trusting that we all put in a lot of time and effort, and games are really where we get to kind of put that on display, but knowing that we've put in the work to feel confident about that.
Kate Livesey, you've had such an incredible run of success. I believe it's going to continue. But each team, I would think, each year has a sort of its own identity. How would you describe the identity for this year's Middlebury Panthers team?
Yeah, I think this group is super gritty, super competitive. They just elevate their game to the circumstance that is before them. So, we've gotten so much, Skylar just talked about, helping others on game day and really setting the tone. And our seniors have just been incredible in terms of setting the tone and building up the confidence of what is a little bit of a younger team, with only 6 seniors. I think that has been the sort of special sauce for this team, is just the willingness to compete with no guarantees, and they are just okay with that because it's fun and I just think that has like really freed up younger players to take risks and to try new things and really understand what they're capable of. So I attribute a lot of our success this year to our seniors and just their grittiness, their composure, how much they believe in other people. And so I think it comes out in those moments of, those 50-50 battles. People are willing to put a lot on the line because it just kind of means a lot to them. So that seems to be the sort of underlying quality that we know on any given day. Sometimes you shoot a little wide, sometimes fouls happen, but the consistency piece for us has just been their fight and their grittiness.
What's up next for the team? Who do you face next?
We have Trinity on Saturday in our semifinals of the conference. So on the other side of the bracket is Tufts and Wesleyan. So two teams that we had 1-goal games with. So it's going to be a super interesting weekend. Trinity's a great team. They're playing really well right now. So we're really excited about that matchup and excited that we're home to host those games. That's sort of dreamy to not have to get on a bus and go anywhere at this stage of the season. So we're really trying to make the most out of hosting and of this opportunity.
Well, you earned that hosting spot. That's one of the great things about finishing at 15-0. You earn that spot. You get the home field advantage. Skylar, what is that like? Do you feel and feed off the energy of crowds at home games?
We definitely love just playing at home. We were really happy to have finished undefeated because I think that was just one small kind of nod at the success we've had this season. It was never something we were totally chasing, but I think it just was really fitting that that's kind of how we ended. And it's just so great to play at home. But at this point in the postseason, every time we play, we're playing to play more games with each other. And especially as a senior, it's just that much more special on our home turf, on Peter Cone. But any game anywhere is special at this point in the postseason.
Yeah, eyes on the prize. You're all focused on that one thing is winning another Division III championship. It's just extraordinary what you've done, what you continue to do. Coach Livesay, last question for you. As you look at these playoffs, as you look at where you're trying to get to, and all the past success you've had, how does it feel knowing that since Vermont doesn't have any professional sports teams, we can't get behind all the big stuff, right? But I think about things like the UVM men's soccer team winning that national D1 championship, the success that Middlebury lacrosse has had on the women's side. Do you take a certain amount of, I guess responsibility might not be the right word, but is there pressure on you to sort of realize we are indicative, we are the epitome of what would be like a professional sports team in Vermont given our success? What's that pressure like?
Yeah, I don't know that I would feel pressure. I think what we feel is opportunity. We feel like, as Skylar said, every time we win and get one more game, it just feels kind of like a gift. So, I think we really try to package things away from sort of pressure to just like, what do we want to accomplish out of this? And again, there's so many variables in sports. It's really just about like, who are we that shows up and just like grinds on the field, and can we be happy with our effort, and can we just like enjoy, and that's something that's super important to us, is like finding the joy in the opportunity and not getting bogged down, kind of shut out the noise of the pressure, the wins, the expectations, and just like lean into these opportunities to play the game versus worry about outcomes. So I think we really try to keep it tight in terms of, how do we want to approach this game? What do we want to be proud of after the game? And then hopefully the score will take care of itself.
The joy, the grit, the hard work, it's all there for Middlebury women's lacrosse. Coach Kate Livesay and Skylar Locke, an attacker for Middlebury, I want to thank you both so much for taking the time, and best of luck in the rest of the playoffs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will be right back with NBC5 sports anchor Jack Main. We'll talk about the Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and much more. Stick around for the Sports Report. And welcome back to the Sports Report. I'm Mitch Wertlieb here with my NBC5 sports anchor Jack Main. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Mitch. And Nathaniel. Good to see you guys again.
And our producer, Nathaniel Wilson, is back too. It's so nice to have you back with us. Thank you so much for being here today. I want to talk about the Boston Red Sox first. We're going to start with that. We got some fan reaction from the show. We asked about what's going on with the Red Sox. Here's one message we got. I am so wondering what you'll have to say about the Sox firing Cora. That would be Alex Cora on the Sports Report. It was certainly predictable, but in my point of view, stupid. The Sox front end failed to give Cora any big bats for the season, but they fire him for an early losing record. I think they should have fired themselves. That message comes from John Hatton, who sent that to our Sports Report email. And another comment, every level of the organization was responsible for the state of the Red Sox, more than Cora, that coming from Katie Baumgartner on Instagram. So, Jack, do you agree with those two statements?
It is very easy to agree with those statements, and I think that is largely the truth.
So the Red Sox do a cleaning house here. They fire the head coach, the manager, Alex Cora. They fired a bunch of other coaching staff. Then one of the great Red Sox of all time, Jason Varitek, he wasn't actually fired. He actually left when he heard all these other guys were going, right?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it is, it's really tough, man. It's going to be really hard to watch the rest of this season knowing what the product on the field is likely going to be, given the history of how teams start this way and typically don't make it very far into October, if they make it that far at all. So it's going to be, I already canceled my NESN 360 subscription because I just have no interest out of protest. I'm not interested in paying money, very good money, for a product that is not going to make my summer more enjoyable.
But Jack, the Red Sox are on a 2-game heater after they fired Alex Cora. They've won two in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, what could we take from that? The interim manager is Chad
Tracy.
Chad Tracy, yes, thank you. And there's some familiarity with the team.
Yeah. So I got this glass half full approach and this glass half empty approach. So the glass half full approach, if we want to be positive and put a spin on this, is that Chad Tracy comes up from the Worcester Red Sox, where he managed Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Peyton Tolley, Connolly Early, and a lot of this core of the Red Sox that we expect to carry them to the land the promised land, right? Yeah. And so there is some familiarity there, and I think that will allow the younger players on the team to feel more comfortable and to feel like they are valued in a way, instead of having a veteran players manager like Alex Cora. I'm not saying that is that should be the primary focus or that will fix the problems here, but the glass half empty approach is Alex Cora was widely regarded as one of the best managers in baseball, and you just let him go. How does that make your team better? Very clearly, the product on the field with the team that he was given just was not ready to play baseball. Everything from the ABS system to players just not being ready for the season. They just weren't ready for the season to start on March 20th or wherever their first game was in Cincinnati. So it's really, really disheartening, and the fans should be, and rightfully so, are pissed off because they deserved and were told that this was going to be a team that would be ready to contend for a championship, and they're just so far from that.
You know, I find myself in the odd circumstance here of having to play devil's advocate a little bit, because I just noted something you just said that really is telling. These guys weren't ready to show up and play baseball.
Yeah.
Isn't that the manager's job to make sure that they are?
Yes, that is the manager's job, and half the team went to their respective countries to play in the WBC at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah, but so did every other team.
So, yes, but more so with the Red Sox. I mean, Willie Abreu had a fantastic WBC with Venezuela. Yep. Ranger Suarez was pitching there as well, didn't have such a good WBC, but Roman Anthony practically carried the United States to the championship game.
Wilson Contreras,
Cedon Rafaela, Jaron Duran. I mean, there's so many guys that just weren't around this spring to start to develop that continuity, which we think, runs too long. Spring training is too long of a time in February and March, but that clearly was time that was valuable that was missed to prepare for the season. I mean, the ABS system has been a failure from the beginning for the Red Sox. All you got to do is look at that first series in Cincinnati and how poorly things went. So from that, I was more on the fire Cora train last season, because last season you had MVP candidate Rafael Devers and perennial MVP candidate Alex Bregman, and you had a Cy Young contender in Garrett Crochet to start the season. This year, you've got none of that, and now it's Alex Cora's fault. And the team skated into the postseason last year, and obviously didn't make it past the wild card round. But then the roster got considerably worse. The front office was quote, shocked when Alex Bregman signs a better contract with more guarantees with the Chicago Cubs, and this is somehow Alex Cora's fault. That's where I start to be like, this isn't adding up. This isn't making any sense.
Yeah, I can't play devil's advocate on that. I totally 100% agree with you there. Nathaniel Wilson was just at Yankee Stadium. We were talking about that before, and you're watching between the Angels and the Yankees. They're launching home runs like they're eating potato chips. The Red Sox do not have that kind of power. I'm curious, did you talk with any fans at the game about, like, did you say, hey, I'm coming up from Vermont. Some of us are Red Sox fans there, and they're comparing the teams a little bit, like what's wrong with your team?
I did not. When I was at the Yankees game, there was one Red Sox fan that I saw who was, I don't know if he started a loud "Go Red Sox" chant. He was trying to rile
bold.
them. He did a good job. He riled them up. The usher came right to him, shut it down.
Seriously?
Yep, the usher shut it right down. That's
Freedom of
Yankee
speech,
Stadium.
folks. Come on.
Did you see Fenway Park was selling Yankees gear last week in the team store?
Stop.
You didn't see that?
No, I did not see that.
There were home plates in the Red Sox team store with the 27 championship ring logos and Yankee ball caps and stuff. And this just goes to prove more that it's more about the dollars and cents for ownership than it is about making sure there's a product on the field.
That's why they're yelling, sell the team at Fenway Park now, because John Henry, who owns the Red Sox, at first he was the savior. He brought this franchise. We got to give him his due, right? 2004, they finally break the 86-year curse. But since then, now he's got interests in a Liverpool soccer team.
Which they're also mad at him.
That's what I've read too, because they're also saying, hey, get rid of this team. F1, he's got, interests there. So he's got all his different fingers in all these different pies, and he doesn't seem to really care much about how the Red Sox do at this point.
Yeah, it is like we were the older brother, and the older brother was the firstborn and got all the attention and all the love and all the resources. And since then, it's turned into Live Golf or PGA Golf, Liverpool FC, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Pittsburgh Penguins Sports Network, the Pittsburgh Pirates Sports Network. There's so many different derivatives of the Fenway Sports Group, and that it's very clear that it is no longer just the Red Sox, that all these teams need John Henry's resources, but the crown jewel, you would think, would be the team that is one of the most iconic in the history of American professional sports. But it just simply, the last 6 years has, ever since they traded Mookie Betts, it has very clearly been a forgotten child.
Yeah,
crazy.
Go ahead.
That Mookie Betts trade, the part of the Cora firing that has been so interesting for me to look at, less of a fan than you two are, is the memes, the jokes, right?
They're so mean, those
Cora
memes.
gets fired. He goes on Twitter. He tweets happy and a smiling emoji. He goes on Instagram. He posted a story, one of the clips from one of those million podcasts that the baseball players go on. It said the Red Sox really traded Mookie Betts, and so it seems like,
he trolling them?
we have images of both of these that we're showing. It seems like a lot of this was pent up, and he was frustrated about this stuff for a long time, because Mookie Betts was not traded this past offseason. It's been years.
That's right. And they miss him still.
Oh my God! I mean, at the quote at the time, I believe it was from Tom Warner, said, "Yes, we're trading away a franchise star, but let's look at the scorebook in 13 years when Mookie's contract expires. Let's see who's won the championships. And hey, halfway through, let's take a look at that scoreboard. Who's got the rings? Who's got the Hall of Fame resumes? And who just fired their entire coaching staff in April? Something that I talked with baseball experts literally this morning before I came on the show. Haven't seen this kind of woodshed taking of this team that we've seen in April. April, that just shows that Breslow believes that there is still time to salvage this thing. But how are you going to salvage it? How are you going to justify that? By bringing in a manager that has no major league managing experience, with a roster that wasn't ready to play this season, and a very much underperforming offense and pitching staff. The only coach to stick around was Andrew Bailey, Craig Breslow's guy. Everybody else that was fired, Tim Hudson, Pete Fatsi, and obviously Alex Cora, Jason Varitek, those are Alex Cora's guys. Mm-hmm. And that is clearly the separation here of one era of the franchise to another. They might as well change the jerseys at this point, because it just does not look like your Red Sox teams that we grew up watching.
And I have to give a little mea culpa here, because we tape these shows, so we know that there is a record of me saying, it was a few weeks back when you were on the show, we're previewing the Red Sox season. I said, I think they're going to do really well. I like the makeup of this team. Yes, we lost Alex Bregman at third base. There's some power there. This kid, Caleb Durbin, though, is going to play good defense. He has. He's not going to provide the same power, but he'll be good. And I thought the Ranger Suarez pickup was terrific. And I looked at this team, and I guess I was thinking, wow, they're going to get better. They're going to be good. But the fact of the matter is they didn't address the power issues. They did go after Pete Alonso like they should have, and now he's playing in Baltimore, and they're not hitting home runs.
Yeah, you could just look at so many different ways that this offseason went and start with the fact that Breslow thought he had Alex Bregman in his pocket. Last trade deadline, he thought he had Joe Ryan in his pocket from the Minnesota Twins. Pete Alonso was a great backup plan, and then I guess they didn't even talk to Kyle Schwarber, who was a free agent from the Phillies this past offseason. So Breslow offers Alex Bregman a contract that was less money guaranteed and no guarantee of a no trade clause, right? Bregman correctly identified in the offseason that the Red Sox like to fire general managers every other season, and that with the trade of Rafael Devers proves that literally anything is possible. So he wants the guarantee that he's going to be able to put his family in a home for the next 5 years and be in that one spot. That matters to a potential Hall of Famer like Alex Bregman.
It wasn't about the money. It was about the security and saying, I'm going to be here.
I think it was $20 million difference between what the Cubs ended up signing Bregman for and what the Red Sox offered. And most of the analysts say that if the Red Sox just threw in the no trade clause, that he would be playing third base for Boston this season.
That hurts just to hear.
But Breslow wants the flexibility. He wants the ability to move on from players. He's clearly not afraid to do that. But Bregman wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity to secure his future with one team, which as a guy in Bregman's position, he's going to wear a cap into Cooperstown. Could have been a Red Sox cap if they played their cards right, but that is just now not going to happen.
Well, it would probably be an Astros cap, though, wouldn't it? I mean, his best years were with Houston, but that's nitpicking. That's not even the point you're making.
Right. You know, hypothetically, he signs a 5-year extension and wins a couple of championships. Maybe he gets some more hardware under his trophy case, and who knows? That tide may have swung, but they've traded away potentially or not given contracts to 4 Hall of Famers in the last 6 years. You know, Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, Rafi Devers, and Alex Bregman, and they just let them all go.
Let me try at least to finish on a half glass full, as you were saying earlier, thing about the Red Sox. I am encouraged a little bit about the pitching side of things because Garrett Crochet, now we worried a lot about his horrific start against the Minnesota Twins when he gave up 10 earned runs, which was so unlike him.
Yeah.
Didn't have a great start in his next one against Detroit either, but he looked a lot better, more like himself in his most recent start. He is still a guy you want on your team. Connolly Early is
pitched great yesterday.
Pitched very well yesterday. Young kid, not really technically a rookie anymore, but Peyton Tooley, another hard thrower, a young guy is coming up. You still have Aroldis Chapman, the best reliever in the game right now. The pitching side of things seems to be there for this team. Is there the possibility, given that we're still only in April, there's a long season ahead, could they, if they decide to get off their butts and do something, make a trade to get some bats into this lineup to shore up that pitching we just talked about?
Man, we were talking before we came on the show that the time to do that was in the offseason. It was when Jarren Duran's trade value was at its highest, and now Jarren Duran's hitting under 200 for the season with, his speed being very limited. So that ship seems to have sailed. I mean, it's Masataka Yoshida taking up a space on this roster without really having any consistent playing time. The Red Sox will tell you he can't hit lefties, and the rest of the league will tell you he can't play the outfield. So what does a platoon DH do for any team that isn't looking for that specific piece? The time to do it was in the offseason. Craig Breslow sat on his hands, thought he had the winning hand with at least 2 or 3 different free agents, and ended up looking like a fool, really looking like a fool.
Yeah, and I really wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt too, but I was so upset that he didn't trade Duran when, as you said, his trade value was at its highest. You got to give Willie Abreu more playing time to get what I think is a superior player into that groove. We haven't talked about Roman Anthony, who's off to a much slower start than fans would have liked this year. I still think that he is going to be a superstar. I really do. He may be hurt right now. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, there's conspiracies going around that there was a video, I think it was Marathon Monday, that Roman went out after the game and was at a bar, and then the next 2 days he didn't play, his back hurt. It could very well be a back issue. I'm not going to rule that out, but
Sure.
there were clearly some unhappy players to begin the season. Remember when Carlos Narvaez got benched out of nowhere?
That's
and
right.
This could be, spillover from that. Cora wanted to keep things in-house, keep things quiet because of all the outside noise that had already happened. That's why Roman Anthony maybe didn't play, but he could also be hurt. It's so hard to tell. There's no direct answer other than the fact that Sam Kennedy said this was Craig Breslow's 110% decision. Breslow seems to be deflecting that notion. And as Ken Rosenthal said today, there's just no direction with the Red Sox ever, and it's really disheartening for the fans.
Yeah, it's very disheartening for the fans. But you know what? As long as they keep selling out Fenway Park and folks are seeing Sweet Caroline in the eighth inning,
Which they're not doing.
Maybe not now, but up to this point they have been. I guess that's the only thing that's going to get John Henry to maybe say, okay, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'll sell the team. But I really think it starts at the top, and it's got to change from the top.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, John Henry's got to care. Something's got to click in his brain to be able to give the necessary resources to go over the top for the next player. We'll see when that happens.
We've solved all the Red Sox problems. Thank you for doing that. Nathaniel, yes, absolutely.
Before we go, I brought up the jokes earlier. I know that our guys in the control room have this loaded up. The van that the Red Sox coaches left in.
Yes.
Did you guys see this?
No.
They left in the van marked coaches for hire.
Describe what we're seeing there.
Just poetic. Okay, so this was the scene. It was, where were they? Were they in
hotel?
Was this in Baltimore?
Baltimore,
now?
yeah.
Okay, so it was in Baltimore very late at night. I know we had the time code on that. Alex Cora tweet was at like 4:30 in the morning. That this is the van that they were pictured leaving in. It's this black van. I think it was the six of them all going. There was another photo of them outside of a private jet before they all took off. Yes, the thumbs down, but coaches for hire, coach
It
vans
says on the side
for hire. Yes, just
you can't make that
poetic.
stuff up. It's
No.
just too coincidental and just so indicative of where the Red Sox are right now. Thank you both. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk about the NBA, the NHL playoffs, a little bit NFL talk as well. Stick around on the Sports Report. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Sports Report. I'm Mitch Wertlieb here with producer Nathaniel Wilson and NBC5's Jack Main. Thank you both for being here again. We've talked about the Red Sox, but we got to get into what's happening with the playoffs now. Baseball's early in the season. Round one of the NBA and the NHL playoffs almost complete at this point. The Boston Celtics, let's start with the NBA. They had one loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. Maybe some folks in Celtics Nation were panicking. I was not. They are now up 3-1. Let's just assume they're going to finish off Philly, right?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt in my mind, Tatum has looked like his old self. Jaylen Brown still carries the load. And Peyton Pritchard, man, not enough can be said about that kid, huh?
I love watching him play ball. Nathaniel, I know you're a big NBA fan. I know you don't like the Celtics, but come on. You got to admit, when he launches a three, you think it's going to go in, don't you?
Definitely. Pritchard is like easily one of the most exciting guys in the league to watch.
Yeah, I love watching him play. And the Jason Tatum thing still blows my mind. Less than a year ago, this guy had surgery on his Achilles tendon, one of the worst injuries you can get in sports. He looks like he didn't miss a beat. He looks like he was never hurt.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost averaging a triple-double in the postseason here so far. And I mean, he's closing out to the basket, which is his bread and butter, and he's able to pull up and take threes, which is, the complement to his game. So with him playing at, even if it's not 100%, if it's like 80 to 90%, somewhere in that range, it's still better than, most of the league at 100%. So very exciting to see Jason Tatum start to cook, and he just looks so comfortable in the postseason. Like, this is what he was meant to play postseason basketball. Some people like to call Jason Tatum auraless. You've probably been one of those people to do that.
I've definitely.
It's just, but it's so indicative of the fact that he's so consistent, really, no matter what state he's at physically. It's just incredible to watch.
It's funny, Jack, actually, when I was at the Yankees game a couple weeks ago, I described Aaron Judge to one of my friends as Jason Tatum with less aura. Yeah. But Tatum yesterday, he led the team in scoring. He had 30 on just 16 shots. He made all his free throws, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. It's the playoffs in the NBA have been so interesting so far this year, and I think I'm one of the people who thinks that basketball in the NBA is better than it ever has been, and we haven't had a repeat champion in the last 9 seasons, I think, and it's been consecutive seasons in a row now where unbelievable stuff is happening in the playoffs. And I don't even mean the skill and the talent, but I mean the results.
Yeah.
And as we've been watching the playoffs this year, it seems so wide open in a way that 2 weeks ago I didn't think it would be, where Oklahoma City looks very sharp, obviously, but Jalen Williams has that hamstring injury, and the Spurs have looked great, but Victor Wembanyama had the concussion issue. The Pistons, the number 1 seed in the East that we spent a lot of time on this show talking about in the lead up to the playoffs,
they're in trouble.
Have just not looked good. And so it's been really interesting for me to think about how much of the Celtics do have a runway maybe to making a finals appearance or even winning. It seems like the most glaring holes I think that Boston has had so far in the playoffs is the center rotation. Neemias Queta has been fouling absolutely everyone at every moment. He's been in foul trouble. Vucevic is a traffic cone on defense, and then Derek White is not making his threes. But yesterday he shot 2 for 4 from 3, which is great to see for the fans. And Cleveland looks terrible. Detroit looks terrible. It kind of looks like the road is paved. New York is struggling against the Knicks. It looks like
against the Hawks, yes.
Against the Hawks, yeah. It looks like the Celtics might have a runway to make it back to the finals.
Well, that's what I was going to ask both of you. Is there any team in the East, again, assuming they're going to get by Philly, the Celtics, is there any team in the East right now that you think can challenge them for the conference championship?
I'll let you go.
So, like we said, New York has struggled against the Hawks, but I think that the Knicks are one of those teams where, looking at last year's results, looking at even the year before when the Celtics did beat them, those teams kind of play up to each other. The Knicks play up to the Celtics.
Yes, they do.
I've watched a couple of those Knicks-Hawks games because they've been chippy and they've been low-scoring and fun to watch. Mikal Bridges has been awful. Josh Hart has not been shooting well. Brunson's getting destroyed on defense, but I still believe that if they can eke through that Hawks series, I think the Knicks can be a big challenge to the Celtics, even though they have not looked good at all.
I think the Celtics are always due for at least one stinker in a series, and it depends on, as we saw in Game 2, right? That was the case. If that can change the momentum enough for a Knicks team or a Pistons team, if they're able to overcome the Magic, or even if the Magic are able to upset Detroit in that series, in that 1-8 series, I do think that those are all teams that could give the Celtics some fits. While it may not be pretty at all times, I mean, the Celtics are far and away the best team in the East, just on paper. Yeah. And so if people are going to say, "Oh, it's a cupcake walk to the NBA championship," if they have the opportunity to get there, but they still have to win, however many more games, one more tomorrow night, 4 more after that, and 4 more after that. So potentially 9 more wins, and that's going to be over a 10, 11 game stretch. So it'll be interesting to see if momentum is able to shift enough in those in-between moments for a New York or a Detroit or a Orlando.
It's a grind for sure. Health is always a thing too. But here's what I would love to see, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm checking out what's happening with the LA Lakers out west. Yeah. LeBron James, oh my gosh. Does this guy age? Is there a painting of him in his attic? With the guy is unreal. He is still playing at such a high level, helping the Lakers. They're probably going to beat Houston in that first round. Yeah. Is there any world in which we get a Celtics-Lakers final?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be incredible.
It would be awesome, and the fix would be in for the Lakers to win, and LeBron rides off into the sunset. So there you go. Get that on DraftKings as soon as you can. It would be really sweet to see LeBron James in the finals one more time, especially in a non-bubbles format. Because his last championship came in the bubble, and then before that, 10 years ago at this point with the Cavs. So to get LeBron on that stage one more time, especially against a rival like Boston, would be absolutely incredible.
But San Antonio, even with Wembanyama hurt, aren't they probably, Nathaniel, a team that you think might win the West, or maybe Oklahoma City?
I think it's so hard to say. You could have even said until 3 days ago that the Timberwolves looked like a team that maybe could come out of the West, but the DiVincenzo Achilles injury, Shams tweeted a couple days ago that Anthony Edwards is expected to miss multiple weeks, and so that's a weird series where Minnesota is up 3-1 on Denver, but now missing very, very key pieces. The Lakers, to me, I think kind of, even in the 2020 year when they won the championship, and I'm a bubble defender, Jack, I got to say. I think 2021 is the fake season after the bubble, but we can get into that on another show. The The Lakers rosters are always unserious feeling to me. It always seems like it's stars and scraps in a way that a team like the Celtics is the exact opposite, where it's these pieces, it's built on shooting. And so I really feel like even if whoever comes out of Detroit, Orlando, and whoever comes out of New York, Atlanta, I don't think there's a team in the East that can match the shooting of the Boston Celtics. But once you're facing an Oklahoma City, a San Antonio, if Minnesota somehow gets there, if Denver somehow gets there, I think it's a different story. Not that the team from the West is surely going to win, but I think that the West has defensive and offensive teams in a way that they're just not in the East.
They just seem overall stronger, I think, most of those teams. And by the way, that Minnesota and Denver series is getting very chippy. There was a lot of pushing and shoving there at the end, some fines, unwritten rule, don't score a basket when the game's already over. We don't have to get into that. We have time is running out here, which I'm glad about because it leaves us less time to talk about the Boston Bruins, who are once again just cross-checking my hockey soul into the boards, Jack. At first I said, I just want them to make the playoffs this year. I didn't think they'd get out of round one. They're not going to. But to play this badly, as they did in a 6-1 loss to the Sabres at home, in front of your home crowd, inexcusable.
I think when Boston pulled out Game 2 in Buffalo, I think there was some real this could really turn into something. It's probably how Sixers fans felt taking Game 2 in the Garden. But with Boston, I mean, they just had such a rebuild this season, and they really worked their way in from mid tier in the East to a second wild card spot to the first wild card spot. But when they blew that 3-0 or that 2-0 lead in game one, you could just tell that there was still some demons that needed to be exercised by the Bruins, and it just seemingly with Pasta not playing his best hockey right now, it's seemingly a dead season right now in the TD Garden.
It feels unfair in a lot of ways to say to someone like Pasternak he needs to step up his game. He has carried this team. He scored 100 points again this season. He is such a phenomenal superstar. The Bruins are nowhere without him. But you're right. He's not played super great in the series. He's got some assists. I don't think he's got any goals yet of any import. No. Mason Lohrei has looked terrible on defense. I know he's a young guy, but he keeps making mistakes there. The mistakes they make, the mental errors that they made in that game last night, where it was over in the first 10 minutes of the game. You could just tell they're taking dumb penalties. They're bringing pucks into their own zone, into coverage, and getting steals, this and that. It's unfortunate. But again, the Bruins were not picked by many people to even be here this year, so I should be glad that they're in the playoffs. I think better things are coming for them with a lot of these draft picks that they have stocked now. Finally, their farm team looks better than it has in years. So I will take back my anger about the Bruins and say, look, it's a next year thing for them. But briefly in hockey, again, it's a little bit like basketball. I do think there's a lot more parity this year. We're looking at the Edmonton Oilers possibly getting knocked out. They are down 3-1 to Anaheim now. Who do you like, maybe out of the East, let's say?
Wow, I'm going to have to look at my Alex Abrami here, dig into my hockey bag a little bit. If it's not Boston,
and it's not.
You're gonna have to look at Buffalo possibly as a team. I mean, they look really good. Boston's handing them those opportunities. But out of the West, I mean, Colorado. I mean, who's looked better than those guys? So I would have to, if I had to put a crown jewel on hockey right now, it would be Colorado.
I think the Avalanche are the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup. They may have the curse of the President's Trophy dogging them. I will say this, though, as a sort of a dark horse pick, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks back when we had Jean Robillard on former
Habs.
Montreal Canadiens. Whoever wins the Habs Lightning series, which is a fantastic series. I think every game's gone to overtime so far. They're tied 2-2 now. I think whichever team wins that series could go on to win the Stanley Cup, and that includes the Canadiens. So we'll have to take a look at that. What do you think?
I know nothing.
That's why I asked you.
Yeah.
But I want that perspective. I want somebody who knows nothing about hockey to say, okay, it's going to be the...
I can at least throw Colorado out there.
Okay.
Well,
you can throw Dallas, be devil's advocate.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to take Buffalo. Growing up, I'm a Western New York kid from Rochester, New York.
Okay, that's fair.
It's always interesting when we would talk about hockey on the show this year, and I would check the standings, and I would say, is Buffalo really this good of a team? Because my whole life they were not.
No, they were not. 14 years they missed the playoffs. That was the longest drought in North American sports, but they are back now, and they are mad for hockey in Buffalo. So we'll have to see about that. I still think it's the Avalanche or bust, but we'll find out in a few weeks. But watch some hockey, Nathaniel. Promise me you'll watch a little bit of playoff hockey, because honestly, I know basketball is going to ramp up, but overtime playoff hockey,
he's on
nothing
Cancun
like it.
right now. now, chilling out with Mam Adebayo, and we got meaningful basketball games being played at TD Garden this week.
Yeah,
that's right.
The first round of the NBA playoffs is like my favorite time of the year every year. 4 games on a day, 3 on a night. And so
fun.
once it cools off a little bit and there's not games on every night, I'll check out some playoff
25
hockey.
different networks, though, man. Can we get one single stream
Wouldn't
for
that be
all
nice?
these? I don't want to buy Prime and Peacock and all these other.
That's right. You just got to do it like me. Got my mom's Amazon Prime. Got the Xfinity Wi-Fi gives me Peacock.
There's strategies. There's ways of dealing with it. Jack Maine, thank you so much again for being here. Where can folks find your stuff?
I'll be on tonight, NBC 5 at 11 p.m. It's finally beautiful out, so let's get some spring sports rolling around here. And congratulations to that Colchester runner, by the way. First Vermonter to go under 12 seconds.
Brinley Gilflin, unbelievable stuff. Thanks for tuning into the Sports Report. If you missed any of today's show, you can find it on our YouTube channel. You can also catch the show on Vermont Public Radio on Monday nights at 8. It's available wherever you get your podcast too. Find out more about the show and how to get in touch with us at vermontpublic.org/sports. The Sports Report is a production of Vermont Public, produced by Nathaniel Wilson. The technical director is Mike Dunn, with Kyle Ambesk on graphics, Joey Palumbo on cameras, and video production assistance from Dave Rice and Brian Stevenson. Our audio engineer is Pete Engish. I'm Mitch Wertlieb, your host for this program, all about the world of sports in Vermont and beyond. Join us next week.